I'd like to call the Board of Public Works to order this October 16th day, and we'd started off with a roll call.
Alderman Nichols.
Here.
Alderman Eisenach.
Here.
Alderman Hammond.
Here.
Alderman Lewis.
Here.
Alderman Tom Grotti.
Here.
Alderman Ted Grotti.
Here.
Alderman Rappella.
Here.
All are present.
All righty, thank you. Thank you for all being present this evening. So anyways, we will move on to our first item is public comments. Is there anyone from the gallery that would like to speak on any matter pertaining to this committee? Your name and address?
Chris Evenson, 523 Broad Street.
Hi, Chris.
I was able to go through on the agenda the kind of checklist of things that were noted with regard to the bridge, and that's some of what I would like to address. I was struck by the fact that the large clunking sound was not on that checklist, and the clunking sound still exists day in and day out. It severely affects our property because we're close to the bridge, especially larger vehicles, school bus, ambulance, trucks, and it's going both ways. So I know that they've tried to do something there, but I can tell you it's not working. When we're in our home, we will sometimes hear this clunking sound and think it's thunder. I mean, it's that loud. It goes right through our walls. So I'm hoping that that's also being addressed at some point by the city, especially before we contemplate taking ownership of this thing. There was a note about excessive lighting, especially on the Riverway end of the bridge, the roundabout there. There was nothing with regard to the excessive lighting that I know I've contacted the city about with regard to the north roundabout. So I was struck by the fact that Riverway's issues seem to be addressed in this list of issues, not much on our end. I was glad to hear there's apparently some Cobra Light shield, and it may already be in place as far as the lighting that's on the bridge itself. But I can tell you, it doesn't do anything to affect the tremendous damage that's been done to our night sky. We still have this light that's out there, and it just pours light, shines off the river right into our home. And you're going to be talking about putting additional colored lighting on the bottom of this thing, and we're going to be living on the midway of a county's fair. So I just ask you to take a look at the north end of Broad Street as well on those issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I noticed that our Public Works Director was taking notes, so if you could stick around, we'll try to address some of those issues. Thanks for coming this evening.
Sandra DeBill Taylor, 545 Broad Street.
Hi, Sandra.
I hope my voice holds out. You were lucky. I didn't talk before. I also wanted to address the list of items regarding the Racine Street Bridge. Like my neighbor Chris, the light is a big problem. And it's not necessarily even the bridge light, it's the street lights at the roundabout. They're intense. I don't know if they're jacked up because the rest of the city's so dark, but especially now, and I'm farther down the block, and it fills my whole backyard. So I know we want to have our downtown nice and bright, but they need to get toned down. My big issue with this, I mean, as you are aware, I fought this bridge from the beginning. And what I really fought was the fact that the roundabout was not at Racine and Broad Street. That's where the roundabout should have been. We shouldn't have an uphill roundabout with slants and slopes and wait till winter comes. We haven't gone through our first winter yet. So I think maybe before you do a lot of this physical reconstruction, you go through the winter and see what happens, because you may have to change more things. I personally, I really want that median removed from Broad and Racine. That was put in for safety. Nowhere else in the city is there a median that prohibits people from taking a left. You can take a left onto Taco, take a left onto Third, take a left onto Midway. The new Quick Trip's allowed to take a left. Jimmy John's is allowed to take a left, but the people that live there cannot. Motorcycles cut through it, scooters cut through it, these motorized bicycles cut through. So to prohibit us, the median's got to go. And eventually, that really needs to be the case, because the mayor put pathways through that were not approved by the council against the DOT's recommendation. So, like Alderman Sevenik said earlier, if the mayor wants something and staff wants something, that's when it gets done. Constituents don't matter. But there is a big disconnect between the attention that the south side of the bridge gets and the north side of the bridge. And hopefully it's not because of me living on Broad Street that is affecting my neighborhood. Because the mayor's even shaking his head yes. Because it's retaliation. That's what it is. Something needs to be done about the lights regarding the proposed public art piece for the roundabout. Personally, I'd just scrap the whole idea, because if you're gonna try to get something that the general public is going to all agree on is gonna be like impossible. I mean, everyone has a different taste and flavor of what they like to see, you know, so let's try to fix some of the issues we have. And another issue that should be addressed too is, once we take ownership, and I'd really like to know what the status of that is, the Department of Public Works really needs to address the fact that if we're going to own this bridge, we regulate the hours of operation. This is now for tourism. So to have this bridge opening up every 5 minutes in the summertime because someone's on a pleasure boat and tying up traffic is ridiculous. We can regulate it. De Pere's done it, Oshkosh does it. If we own it, we can regulate the hours, especially during the rush hour traffic, and that needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the gallery that would like to speak? Seeing none, we'll close that segment. Could you turn the mic off for me up there? No, she'll take care of it. Thank you. I think if we don't turn it off, we'll get some echo. Thank you. All right. Thank you for your comments. I wrote them down, and I saw Public Works Director and the Deputy Director write some of these things down, and we'll move forward. So the first item on our agenda is the minutes to approve, and I'll entertain a motion to do so.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the Board of Public Works on October 2nd, 2023.
Is there a second? Motion been made and seconded by Alderman Ted Grady. Any additions or corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Those minutes are approved. Moving on, for just discussion, we're not taking action, is the issue of the blue-green algae and the water quality concerns. Obviously, this has been a topic in our community, and I don't want the community to feel as though the city is not and has not been being proactive. And I know that the mayor and staff has been involved with the DNR on this issue, and this would be one way to be able to provide that type of information to the community. We all know that it's a problem. None of us are in favor of it. We want to somehow find a solution. My big issue, I see no lights on at this point, is that it's been 8 years now that the locks have been closed. And to me, that's just way too long for the no action as far as having those locks open. And that has hurt not only our downtown, when I say the welfare and health of the city, when I say welfare, I'm talking about, our economy here. We have a multi-million-dollar marina here that we built years ago, and maybe you're getting too much traffic under the Racine Street Bridge because the boats can't go the other direction. So anyways, it's obviously a health concern, and it's my mistake for not asking for Todd Drew to be here, but our health director is here, and she might want to chime in at some point here. But I know that the mayor and I had talked a little bit about this, and he had brought up a lot of good points to me that what's been going on. Former Alderman Taylor was talking earlier, and he was talking about how there was possible flow through there because of the different factories and that. And from my understanding, and someone can correct me, but the DNR has made us close all those because of the Gobi. So to me, a lot of this issue is the DNR, and the fact of the matter, not just because the locks aren't opening, but because of the closure of these areas to not allow that water to flow. And this is a gem. Just because it has some factories on one side and the water is green doesn't mean that this can't be a beautiful area. The governor has just helped our community with a grant of $2,074,000. And for years, we have been working on a waterfront corridor on Water Street. To me, that area is just so hideous looking with guardrails and all blacktop. And I hope at some point, if you're watching this on TV or you're in the gallery, you get an opportunity to see these beautiful plans that we've put together and that we'll be implementing next year. So with that, I see there's one light on, and hopefully the mayor, you'll be able to address, some of the issues and things that you had mentioned to me, so the public does realize that staff in the city has been working on this issue. You might have read in the paper that, people were telling me, oh, we'll get the fire department out there with the hoses. Well, that doesn't work, just so people know that doesn't work. It's temporary, and when I mean temporary, we're talking like 40 minutes. So that's really not going to solve the issue. So I believe Randy had his mic on first, and we'll allow him to speak.
Thank you very much, Alderman Sevenick. Don has sent a real nice email to the DNR, and my concern is that the water flows from Lake Winnebago, towards Appleton. It flows that way, so all the way up to Green Bay. So interesting how it flows that way, but it does. And it goes, that canal, it's a dead end. So unless, and Don put a real nice thing in here, and he sent it, so, but I don't know who's going to pay for it, the DNR or Menasha, who knows. But we believe that there needs to be a spillway, some type of spillway. They have one in Chilton, little water spillway there. We've got, if we just had a little spillway just to keep that water moving, it needs a way to move. And if the locks aren't going to open for many, many years, as WLUK had mentioned, we've got some issues, and hopefully this can get squared away by next boating season and next year. Otherwise, we'll be contending with continued no flow of water. It stops right by the Racine Street Bridge, right there. It stops, and it just doesn't move. Once it gets to Taquah Street Bridge, it's just a quagmire of non-moving water. There's no way for it to get out. So we need to put some type of spillway, and the problem is who's going to fund it, who's going to make the decision. We got to do it now, not just wait for the winter for ice to come over, and it's all forgotten for 4 months. So thank you. And Don, you wrote a real nice letter to the DNR, so kudos on that. Thank you.
That was very well written.
Alderman Tom Grady.
Thank you, Council President. I think it was a month and a half ago, we filled this gallery with the people from my neighborhood concerned. The algae is everywhere. It's just not on this canal.
Right.
So we have got a bigger issue in this city, and I know Sarah, who's on the canal across from us, today she was saying that the rocks on her shoreline are purple. So, I mean, I guess the conditions were extremely different this year because of the drought and the heat, but in the 10-plus years I've lived on Brighton Drive, I've never seen that canal like that. And maybe aerators have to go in more than one location than just the canal downtown. They've got the aerator by Smith Park, the peanut, or the little island or whatever, I can't even say it, the Valor Isle.
Isle of Valor.
Right. So there's things that can be done, and I think this should be addressed in some of the other canals. I know I've gone round and round with the utilities, with Public Works, about not doing these things because we set a precedent. But we can sure get rid of every muskrat that's in any pond out in Randy's district. So I think we can do something with some of these algae issues within the city. And the people on that water pay a lot of money on taxes, so thank you.
Alderman Hammond.
Thank you, Chair. I just echo what my colleagues have said. I think folks pay a lot of money to live along the water, and some of this is to be expected. There's variations in weather and climate change and different things that we don't have control over. And I understand that intergovernance relationships, whether it's the DNR, us, I know it can kind of be put off back and forth, and I do thank everyone at the City of Menasha for doing their due diligence to express the frustration of these things, but we ought to find a way to get some motion into this water to address this issue. I'm not coming before you saying that I have the clear answer and exactly how to do that, but I think we need to make it a priority that we address this, because if we're truly your place in the water, then the water should be clean, because it's a health issue, it's an economic issue, and I think it's something that we should make the utmost priority. So I just, as a member of this body, just really want to express and echo the concerns that I've heard from constituents, and just let them know that they're being heard. And I want to thank the city for the work that they are doing, and I just really want to encourage that we keep doing the most that we can do, because this is really important. I think water should be one of our biggest priorities, because we can put everything around it, and I think if we are going to have it in our motto and make it an emphasis, then we should take care of it and do as such.
So you know Menasha was first place actually last year, was it, for best water? And this year we took second. So we dropped a notch. But I would like, if any of staff or the mayor want to address this issue. Go ahead, Sam.
I just wanted to add that obviously a lot of our water, right, is coming downstream, as Alderman Rappel had noted earlier. There is the Winnebago Waterways. It's part of the Fox Wolf Watershed Alliance program. So again, understanding the groups that are involved and who to actually reach out to, because obviously if we try to fix what we have going on down here, it's only going to continue to come. Not to say that it's impossible to do anything, but certainly treating the waters farther up the system as they come down is a major priority. So again, the Fox Wolf Watershed Alliance program, that is, I believe, a public entity that I think they do have regular meetings and can be another resource to reach out to.
Thank you, Sam. Laura, would you like to address the letter that Alderman Rappel was referencing and any of your personal concerns?
Yeah, so because I have this, I like stormwater, it's kind of my niche. So I'm going to put a plug in. The reason that algae thrive is because of phosphorus. Their food is phosphorus. They love it. We all contribute to that problem. Everybody in this municipality, everybody that is on Lake Winnebago or areas that drain into Winnebago are contributing to the problem. And this is why we constantly have public information out there to say, don't put phosphorus on your lawns. Keep your leaves on the terrace. You put them in the street, they're gonna, that water just, it's like a tea bag. It seeps out, it's grabbing phosphorus and nitrogen and putting it in our system. So the more you put in the system, the worse the algae blooms are. And people just wanna say, throw chemicals at it, throw air at it. It's not a long-term solution. They're temporary solutions, all of those. Can aeration help in one area? Yes. We have these problems all over the Lake Winnebago system. We see it in Oshkosh. We see it all over the place. The whole west shore was impacted this year. It was low water levels across the board, lack of rain, perfect storm for this stuff to grow and thrive. We've been hearing the complaints, we're taking them in. I issued this letter to the DNR to say, our hands are tied because this is a state waterway. This is a state-regulated system. The Army Corps and the Coast Guard mandate navigability. I mean, that's a lot of this stuff, unfortunately, it ties our hands. There's only so much we can do. We are involved in these big groups that meet, Fox Wolf Watershed Alliance, NUSC, Winnebago Waterways. We're involved in all these stakeholder meetings and try to work together collaboratively with all surrounding municipalities to try and help this overall major problem that we have. I mean, this is a 303D impaired waterway, and everybody poo-poos the fact that we're contributing to it. So, we're doing our best to try and get that information out there, get people to understand. We're taking in the complaints. We're going to obviously look at any option we can to try and help this, because it affects development, bringing people in the area, quality of life. I mean, we have people working down there, contractors working down there is this a health hazard that we need to be concerned about for our staff? So I've been in constant collaboration and discussion with Todd from the health department. He's been sampling. He put a page out on the health department webpage. So on our city webpage, there's a whole thing about blue-green algae, links to DNR, that you can see who you can submit complaints to, and then they send staff out the DNR for that, for monitoring, for documenting purposes. So we are doing what we can, and we're not ignoring it. It's not that it's not a quick solution. A lot of these things are going to take a lot of time. A spillway has to be studied by the fisheries group, the water quality group. There's permits to be obtained. There's a lot that goes into it than just adding a spillway. Same thing with the aeration, any chemical treatment that all requires state approval, and it's a lengthy process. So not that we're not looking into them, it's just not something that can happen overnight. So just wanted to put it out there that we're doing what we can, but I want every individual to know that there are things they can do to help stave off the problem of the phosphorus in our waterways. So, and this is also why we have these ponds. We put in these ponds that treats and takes out phosphorus. I mean, and we're going to be seeing here, we've been working under a grant that we obtained from the DNR to study how much phosphorus and how many solids we are putting into our system. So, and we have to reduce that. That is mandated by them. So there will be, over the next 50 years, things that we have to do to capture that and plan for that and try and help our water quality. So.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
That really, I mean, the purpose for this conversation today is to get those kind of comments and answers out there for the public, because there is a feeling like because it's there, no one's doing anything about it. And that's not the case. Is there anyone else that would like to address this topic? Otherwise, we will move on to the next item. Austin, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
There you go.
Thank you. Director, I just had a question. Is there anything that this body can do for sharing information, educating the public and things like that, of like self-responsibility? You talked about fertilizer and those things and how it has negative implications. Is there any policies, things that we can do here to help be part of the solution?
We have a stormwater webpage on our site with links to all sorts of things like applying fertilizers, not cutting grass into the street, putting the leaves on the terrace. Don't wash your car on your driveway, put it on grass so it can filter in, because that soap gets into the system as well. We have a lot of literature on our website. I can send stuff out, but Renew Our Waters is a really good resource for flyers and advertisements. We put them out at our Public Works facility. We put quarterly flyers on council agendas. I know they don't get a lot of attention or focus, but every quarter we do put seasonal appropriate information out there for the public. And any other avenues you can think of, Corey, that off the top of my head, so we're putting out there what we can. I can certainly assemble if anybody wants anything specific. I can put it together and send it out as well.
Awesome, thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Alderman Nichols.
Thank you, Chair. I called Todd Drew and had about a half an hour conversation with him about this topic, and that is our city sanitarian. And he told me that in his career, this was the second bloom that he'd called into the DNR over the course of his career. So I think that in itself is a testament to the severity of the bloom this year. As long as folks are listening to this, I think it's important to talk about what not to do with the algae. And what was interesting to me is he told me that it's not, the blue-green stuff isn't the algae, it's what's left, it's the bacteria that's decomposing, and which is what causes the terrible smell. But maybe Director Hutter would like to just address the things not to do. I know people want to try and get rid of it. People want to spray fire hose water at it, take their jet skis and boat motors through it, and these are all things that we should not do. So if you could just tell folks what not to do and why it's important not to do those things.
Sure. I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. It's really just important not to come in contact with it, humans, pets, because it can be toxic. And then when you're doing activities such as Alderman Nichols said, like boating through it, water skiing through it, shooting a fire hose, high pressure water through it, it can disturb those blue-green algae cells, and that just can cause them to go airborne and potentially create a health hazard somewhere else. So it's just really important not to touch it. And if you happen to, or you had a pet run into it and they do come in contact, to immediately wash them off to try to prevent any health problems from occurring.
And by disturbing it and aerosolizing the bacteria, the toxins, putting them into the air, that allows people to, that's what's dangerous to ingest, those aerosolized particles, and can cause severe infection, correct?
Correct. The more you disturb it, the greater the possibility of, yes, releasing that into the air and then ingesting it by breathing.
Thank you.
Anything further? All right, thank you. All right. So we'll move on then to the Racine Street Bridge issue. The main reason I brought this forward was also to see where we were budget-wise. The city set aside dollars for amenities, and I kept getting questions from council members, how much did we spend on this or that? So I asked Laura if we could probably throw something together and answer some of those questions, plus readdress some of the concerns that residents had. I'm glad that Chris Everson came in this evening, because I was under the assumption that the noises were taken care of with the software situation, so, and it apparently has not. And I saw Laura writing down lots of things. So with that, can we first kind of address those issues, such as the lights, as far as the roundabout? Apparently, it seems like that's been a lot of light pollution there. And then there was some concern about public art. And then maybe address a little bit about if or when, or if we even want to take ownership. And not only that, but I've been in contact with some people that have told me that there's a number of fractures in the bridge, and they've increased since the last time they talked to me, which is concerning. So if we could address some of those along with the budget stuff too.
Sure. Bear with
Is that
me a
enough?
minute here. Yes, no, I know, there's just, we have a lot going on with this bridge, as you all know. It's been quite the process and undertaking. So I guess to start with the amenities, I suppose, we did allocate a total of $650,000 towards that. And the third sheet in the agenda packet with the bridge portion outlines how much we had originally allocated, the $500,000 a number of years ago when the project started. And then this most recent year, to complete the underdeck lighting, we added another $150,000 into our borrowing. And I did put in here kind of what the items that were completed under the bridge project, under DOT contract, were the decorative pedestals, decorative light poles, the masonry on the operator house, colored concrete terrace, landscape edging, grass seed. They require that portion is covered by the local municipality in certain areas. And then also some sanitary manhole adjustments. Those are non-eligible items, DOT eligible items, because it's a local utility. So that totaled, the DOT invoices I have received for processing for that have totaled about $315,000. They typically will do audits post-construction. We have seen some come through 4 years after a contract. So I can't say there may not be more that come to us. Hopefully they shouldn't equate too much of anything, but this is where we are at now. So I can't, that number is not definitive in its entirety, but that is where we're at now. And then also for the underdeck lighting design, as we have been progressing through that, we had the conduit installed on the bridge as a part of the contract and the wiring. So the conduit and wiring has been put in for underdeck lighting. The reason that we did not move forward with DOT contract for the actual purchase of the lighting, we have issues with Buy America, and also all of the delays that we kept seeing that kept perpetuating. We were very concerned that if we added something else, that it would create more delays and cause more issues. So there were a number of reasons that the lighting was not bid out or included as a part of the contract. Plus there's 10% general contractor markup. So we're looking to pursue doing that if we are going to proceed, bidding on our own. So the funds we have remaining as of this month, we'll say $280,000. The estimate that we were provided for installation and materials purchase for the lights are $265,000. So we would have some funds left to do any of these other, I don't want to call them pet projects, but some of the other projects that we have listed out in the agenda here. So if there's any certain items that are of any interest, obviously we would need your group council vote on what we would want to proceed with, I imagine. And we do need to get pricing. We do not have that yet. So to be determined on a lot of those items. In the way of lighting, if you want me to move forward, unless.
Well, we did vote on the lights.
The underdeck lighting, correct.
Yes.
Yep,
Okay,
we voted
so
on a plan for that. So unless we are told to bring it back for a vote, we would plan to proceed as it was voted on
Why would we
previously.
vote on it twice? Okay, and
We brought it up as a discussion, so I just wanted to make sure that that was still the direction we were going, and there is no point, we are proceeding with the vote as it stands on the table.
okay, and the lights that come off the bridge and especially the roundabout have become an issue. Can we address that?
So I think one of the big things is that the height of the poles has created this noticeable difference or perceived difference. I mean, it is brighter, I don't deny that. but the poles are higher than they were before. Right now, we have 30-foot poles on the bridge. I believe it's the 30-footers, and then it's 16-footers through the roundabouts. So that brings this light up more, and then it can potentially spill a bit more into those areas. The lighting was designed by DOT. We did not have input on the quantity, the luminaires, the photometrics of what was installed. They told us this is what it's going to be and this is what our standard is. We told them we wanted decoratives. That was it. They set the standard height. They set the amount of lights that went in. This was not the city's decision.
But don't we have requirements for people, for instance, in their parking lots and that we have standards? So wouldn't that follow through with a bridge?
Like the brightness?
The brightness and the direction? Because I know
Right.
that was a big issue with the stone-toed. That's why
And it is for
Alderman
private.
Benner got involved on the city council because of the lighting and how it was directed, and then rules had been changed, or the ordinances had been changed.
And that's zoning.
Yeah.
Those are all zoning ordinance.
Okay.
Right-of-way does not fall under zoning
There's the
ordinance.
answer. Okay, thank you.
That's the difference.
All right.
We have had our public works staff looking at options for light shields for the Cobra heads that are on the bridge deck. We had received complaints because they are 30 feet tall, looking at some alternatives to put a shield on. And as far as I understand, I believe I think you had a recent conversation with that. I have not caught up with him on it myself.
There's one that's been put up, it's put on the wrong light.
That's what it is.
So we are,
DOT.
That's,
no, it was us who
that's
put it
us.
up.
Just kidding.
So we are going to put another one up on the other light.
There we
to
go.
see if it
That's our
works.
status update on that. But they fabricated it themselves, so we couldn't find anything
Another
that.
status update, they bought something. They found something that they
See,
could use. I made Thad drive me over there to show me what it was because I couldn't find it.
Good, okay. So we are looking at that as an option for those, the issue being they're 30 feet tall, and you get, even if it's directed downward, you're going to have this view up, and a shield could help some, but we don't know how much it's really going to help. But we are going to try it to see what it does, and hopefully it does make a difference. But that's what we do have in our capacity to try and add.
The city is trying to address the issue.
Yes.
And that hopefully this might help a little bit.
Right.
Okay. And then with the roundabout, I guess there was concern about the brightness. It does seem quite bright, but I mean, that's kind of what you want on a road surface, so.
So the DOT did respond to us with the roundabout, and that is designed to standards for that, the height of the poles, the light, and all of that does meet the requirements and the standards for that.
Okay. Anything further?
I know the clunking, the sound has been a topic of discussion, and I have received phone calls, emails on this. I have sent them all to the project manager at the DOT. So they adjusted on August 30th, the programming. They had to reprogram the seating of the lift bridge. So that was what they had come back, and that was what that temporary closure was for, to do reprogramming for the lift bridge. What I was given back, take it or leave it, from DOT staff was that staff observations are that the noise is relatively minor for an average vehicle crossing the bridge and a little more for larger vehicles crossing the bridge. As they have stated on previous occasions, a lift bridge will make noise during operation. They do not believe that they are out of the ordinary or excessive for a lift bridge. So this is a direct statement from the DOT. With that said, even with the cracking, we are documenting, investigating, we are looking into these things, we're monitoring them. But I don't know that there's really a threshold for cracking. what is the right number of what's appropriate and what's not? I don't believe there is one. Same thing with noise. There's just not a set, this is too loud or it's not too loud. And I hate to discredit it because that is not in any way, shape, or form what we are wanting to do. But we are being told that the designers, that it is meeting standard. So we have to take that for what it is from our perspective. We are working on some correspondence, with the DOT and trying to iron out some of the things that we've been seeing. So, but this is what they have stated to us thus far.
We talked about programming, okay? But did the DOT look at material change, such as some kind of rubber matting or something to kind of swallow that noise? I mean, metal on metal is going to make noise. But if you have some kind of barrier there, you would think that you wouldn't have as much noise. And all I keep hearing is that I'll take care of it. That ain't going to work. It's physical. It's not something computerized.
With your comment in regards to like we'll just call it a rubber pad.
Okay.
Okay. The way, and I don't know this for certain, but the way that bridge is going to come together, now if you put a rubber pad of a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch, something.
Not even.
An 1/8 of an inch, but what is an 1/8 of an inch going to do with a structure of that weight and the amount of force that a school bus or a dump truck or, something coming over
But have
the
they
top
tried
of that?
it? No.
The other thing with that, though, is the way that seats, and if that
Probably.
bridge is not seating in the same location, what kind of damage are we potentially causing by doing something like that? And again, like I said, I don't know that for certain, but in my mind, taking that bridge from where it's supposed to be and now causing it to be raised, both sections to be raised, even a small amount, what does that do to the braking system and other things, the mechanical operation of that bridge? So for us to make that decision and try that, I would recommend against that.
I don't know why you wouldn't want to try it.
What's that?
I don't understand why you wouldn't want to at least try it to see.
I'm not a structural engineer, and I wouldn't
Neither
direct
am I,
staff to do
but
it
it just
without
seems
a
like common
structural
sense.
engineer telling me that it is a proper thing to do. That would be my recommendation
Okay.
to the council. If you would like us to consult and contract with a structural engineer to make that determination, we can definitely spend that
I
money.
think it should be at least asked or questioned. I mean, sitting at a computer and trying to figure out how it's going to land and stuff is one thing, but metal on metal is going to make noise. All right, anyone have anything further on that? Otherwise, there was one question about public art. And, the reason I bring it up is because really tonight's meeting was more about, the things we've done on the bridge as far as our amenities, such as, some of that landscaping and the decorative light poles and, we're happy with the masonry that was put on the operator's house. So are we looking at anything, or Tom, had you been involved in that, or Mayor, anything?
We're looking to get some prices and proposals for that roundabout, but we don't have anything at this point. Once we would have something for you guys to look at, then we would bring something forward to see if that's something the council is interested in.
Okay, thank you. And then I guess the last thing is the issue of ownership. I go on record, I wasn't in favor of the bridge myself, and I think, who else was on the council at the time? So, I mean, I didn't have a problem with the old bridge, and when I'm like Commissioner Deputy Gordon said, we're not engineers, but I walked that bridge before it was taken down, and I found one crack in the roadway And this new bridge has a lot of surface cracks, and you can count over 100. So I just don't think we should take ownership at all. That's just an opinion. Of course, it doesn't mean anything, but until DOT, and I know the city sent off a letter asking for A, B, C, D, E, F, G to be taken care of first. I don't know where we are with ownership, but I think, Corey, you had something more you wanted to add?
I just wanted to ask a clarifying question, Alderman Sevenick. You said the cracks. Where are the cracks that are the concerned cracks? Are they in the sidewalk? Are they on the main deck, the drive deck?
But I did notice them
there's two
on-
different issues there. If you're going to tell us that the majority of the cracks are in the sidewalk, there's other issues with that. I will say that, and that's something that we were discussing with the DOT.
Okay.
Okay, if they're in the main deck, then that's
There were-
potentially a little bit
When
different,
we
but
walked
I
it,
just want to,
grand opening, there were quite a few, and I was shocked by it. But it's not uncommon, like you say, because I noticed in Neenah, and I forget which bridge it was, they also do that sealant that they put on those, and that's a maintenance issue that has to be done like every 2 years or so. And I noticed a number of those on that bridge. And so it's just that you got a brand-new, $36 million bridge, you expected a little something better, and then they want to pass it on to you. It's kind of disappointing, especially when you weren't really big on having a new bridge to begin with. But like I said, I'm not an engineer. I don't know what the faults of the old bridge were. And I attended every single meeting that the DOT put on. And I know that the people in the gallery were there too. So, and they had legitimate concerns at that point, and here they are because some of these things have materialized. So, Corey, do you still have something, or?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Anything further from the council? Then I guess with that, hopefully we answered a lot of questions, especially in the area of where we are on the budget with this, with the bridge that we put forward for the amenities and the landscaping and, just leave it at that. So let's move on then to the action items. And the first action item is a payment. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion for payment for the Donald Hippis and Sons Construction Incorporated MCM 09-22-00335, also 2023 sanitary sewer and water and main reconstruction for the cost of $171,632.50. This is payment number 6.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded by Alderman Ted Grady. Any further discussion? Laura, did you want to add anything? No.
Just that this is for the utility work occurring on Water Street. So that's what this current payment is for. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing nothing further, we'll take a roll call.
It doesn't let me.
Oh, it won't let us. One more time. There we go.
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you. Our second and final action item this evening is another payment. Is there a motion?
Motion for the payment for the Northeast Asphalt Incorporated 2023-05 street construction and rehabilitation of 3rd Street and Community Way of $150,817.75. This should be payment number 3.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is this also the final payment for the, no, okay.
It will not be final
See,
payment.
they're
but this
reading
is-
my mind, they're already, I don't even get up.
This does include the pavement, so the number is in here for the Plank Road total.
That's what I was asking.
Yes, so Plank Road pavement is on here. This is not the final payment for the contract,
Okay,
but for
sure.
Plank Road, yes.
Yes, okay. All right, any further questions? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call.
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you. And seeing we have no further business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Have a great evening.